right, everybody, welcome back to Adventure Talk. This is Jason Speck with Mountain State Overland, and we've got a fun group here for this fifth episode of Adventure Talk.
Yeah, man. So John Rutherford here with Aussie Dog. So photographer and recent entrepreneur building adventure vehicles with Rocco Vehicles.
Jacob Wright, I'm with my gin and tonic and merry-go-round farm. I've hosted quite a few fun Mountain State Overland adventures. Maybe we'll talk about that in a little while. But I'm just glad to be here and glad everyone's safe and can make the call. I don't know what happened to Gabby, but I miss him already.
I'm Ryan Bedard. I met you guys through Papa Wolf back when I had the retail store and was on your Vermont trip, which was a blast. Now I have a hemp business, growing hemp and doing CBD products in the farms in Maine, and still going on adventures with my Land Cruiser and renting on motorcycles and driving around in a 1978 924 safari'd out Porsche. Just living the dream here.
What's up, guys? I'm coming at you live from Haverhill, Massachusetts, doing my thing, hanging out in my cave here. Not much to say. Haven't done much. It's been a lot of lockdown, shutdown, a few bike rides here and there. But, yeah, I'm just straight kicking it.
Yeah. Might have to trim that down to a mustache before this thing's over.
It's funny. So Ryan Bedard actually started a mustache challenge on Instagram, and I voted yes to do it, and I have yet to shave my mustache. So I brought the trimmer, and that may be something that appears on this show tonight.
Yeah, I mean, outside of industry news and events, there's not a lot going on. It's kind of hard for people that have planned for some of their events. Overland Expo, that's been delayed too, right, John?
Yeah, man. They postponed it till August, so it's pretty much on shutdown for, the spring season. So, yeah, everything's pretty much shut down. Like all the gravel bike rides, like everything is, we're all sort of on holding pattern right now.
Yeah. Well, everybody will make their way through this. And we have an event in September here in my hometown. Right now, that's far enough out that we shouldn't have a problem. Of course, we don't know how long we'll be doing this and living in this kind of world right now. But, yeah, we're excited about having the Adventure X Fest. The Vagabonds will be playing. And Pierce Edmonds, their opening act. So it's going to be a good time. It's a base camp festival, kind of like what we've done up in Vermont in the past. Coming back to some live music in an amphitheater setting, so that ought to be pretty fun. We're right at about 50 trucks registered right now. We'd be happy with 100 for the first year, and then just kind of play on from there. So, Brian, what are you drinking over there? What did you say you had?
I got a gin and tonic. It's from Vermont. It's a honey gin. It's excellent. I picked it up at the liquor store on one of my supply runs, because that's what we call them now. This is The Walking Dead.
I got a Maine Beer Co. Lunch. It's a good one. I'm very happy to be drinking it right now.
Wait till you drink that with a mustache, dude. Totally different deal,
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a world-changing experience.
Yeah, you got to make sure you update your Tinder profile picture too.
Oh man, I promise I will, for you.
All right, so we got an IIPA, which is it's called Madonna from Zero Gravity. So another New England beer, keeping it New England real.
Well, I have a gin and tonic that I'm drinking during the show. we used to have this cousin of my dad's that lived on the next farm over, and she said her father was a doctor, and she survived the Spanish flu by drinking tonic water. That's what he wanted her to drink. So my mom has given me like 2 cases of tonic water in the past 10 days. So I don't think you can drink tonic without gin. So I think she's telling me I should drink more gin and tonic. So I went out and bought a case of limes. So here we are. But I also have this Jepson's Malort. Believe a few of you boys have had that at my bar at the merry-go-round. So in honor of that, oh God, that was a big shot. Oh, it's like a 2-ounce shot. So, yeah. You ready for the space? It's good stuff right there. Yeah, it's a Chicago thing. And,
okay, my wife and I got introduced to that by our friends, and we had one hell of a night. We actually liked it, and we did one too many shots, but it ended up working out in my favor. So it was a good time.
Yeah, is that why you have so many kids, Malort?
Could be.
Do you call him Mal or Mallory or?
Yeah, we call it Mal for short.
I actually follow Jepson's Malort on Instagram, and like they know how bad it tastes. They're like, it's a thing. So my teeth are sweating right now. But
give a shout out.
I just wanted to shout out the gin. I don't even think you can see that. It looks like anyways, it's Bar Hill Gin, and it's handcrafted in the heart of Vermont. It's made with juniper and raw honey. So I have to give him a shout out. Didn't want to be the only one that didn't shout out the alcohol.
Yeah, so let's give everybody here listening or on YouTube watching this kind of a precursor. We're going to talk about some of our most memorable adventures, and we're going to discuss tips for family adventures as well. We've got some family advice from some people here on this talk right now to help give some tips for people that don't know how to get their families out when the dust of this pandemic settles. Everybody's going to be wanting to hit in the woods. So yeah, let's go down the most memorable road trip or most memorable adventure path.
I'd say the most memorable adventure I've been on is actually our Canada trip. To be honest with you, I've been all over the world. Been to India, been to Southeast Asia, but via vehicle. One of the most memorable trips that we did was actually, or for me, was actually Canada and camping on the Bay of Fundy. And waking up in the morning and, seeing like seals, and it was pretty amazing. So yeah, I'd say our trip up to Canada. I woke up at like 3 a.m. and realized the water was like right at our truck and freaking out that the truck was going to get washed away. And, just monitoring situations. And then the next morning we all went out and like found a big waterfall to take a shower. That was pretty epic, man. That was awesome.
What has been some of your? So you're a moto guy too, right? So and you just recently got your Land Rover. Let's talk about either your most memorable 2-wheel or 4-wheel adventure.
Whoa! What words just came out of your mouth? You want to back that up?
Oh, did I say Land Rover?
The second word was wrong. I ain't made of money yet. I'm sticking with the Land Cruiser. The Japanese stuff, will hold on for a little bit higher quality build, maybe. I'm not going to add insult to injury on that one. He knows. I mean, off-roading or four-wheeling or whatever you want, overlanding, whatever you want to call it, is a probably in the past 5 years for me, I've gotten into it. So a lot of my trips are local. But I got to say, because I've got a family and my trips are more localized, every year when I do Vermont Overland rally, it's so fucking fun. Last year I did all motorcycle, and it was a blast. Every year I've brought in a different motorcycle, which has been really cool. But I'd say last year was probably one of my favorites on the bikes. And then the year prior, I got to do a solid day in the Land Cruiser. And then I always really enjoy going to Winter Romp as well. But I hope to be able to do some more longer traveling distance trips in the future. But for right now, my local stuff that I put on the calendar is fills my cup. It's pretty awesome.
I don't like. I'm kind of like John. I've been all over the world. I've been all over Southeast, West Virginia. Southwest Virginia. There's only a couple of rivers that flow south to north, like the New River, for example. So I feel like I've been to the Nile. I feel like I've floated the Nile, but yeah, every trip's an adventure. I had actually a fun adventure last night. Tried to call in some coyotes without a gun. That was pretty cool.
Dude, what is happening right now?
Yeah,
what the hell was
to bring everybody up to speed here, the reason why everybody's giggling quite a bit is Ben has opted to go full on mustache. No, that's
wow.
That's kind of an interesting. What would you call that, Ryan? What would that cut be?
I mean, he's kind of in Fu Manchu territory, right?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Yeah, he's there.
Yeah, it's a Fu Manchu. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We've been on a lot of adventures with Team MSO. We've stopped at a lot of fun places to camp. And I would say that anything that we've done that's extended more than a week has been kind of some of my biggest adventures, because it takes a good 5 days before you feel like you're really set into it. That doesn't mean that an adventure isn't more than 5 days or less than 5 days or anything like that. But trips to New Brunswick was awesome. I'd say that my top adventure was going out to Expo West. That was a lot of fun for me, because I spent 3 or 4 years filming these adventures with the guys, and not being able to take my family with us necessarily, but that was the first real adventure I could get the family out for a week. My wife actually flew back after we spent 2 or 3 days exploring Arizona and Utah. And then my son and I continued to drive back across the country. And I think Catcher was like 3 years old or 4 years old then, probably 3 years old. We picked up our puppy Cooper too. So that adventures with family are some of the most memorable adventures that I can think of. And that's what's going to lead us into our next topic here too. So Ben, how about you give us a little update and oh, wow.
Hey, is that Luigi?
It's a Mickey, a Luigi. So my most memorable adventure was probably, honestly, like, I wish I could say Canada, but it's already been said. I have to say probably a close number 2 was Adventure West, honestly. Some of the spots we camped on Adventure West were, like, bar none, some seriously epic campsites. Some really cool stuff, like in the middle of a canyon, just really remote, awesome stuff.
How does that mustache feel?
It feels good. It feels really good. It feels, you know what? It feels pretty epic. That's the word I would use to describe it, is epic.
Hey!
So once when I lived in Richmond one time, we had a hurricane come through, and this girl was giving me a haircut, and I went into the razor died halfway through my haircut, and so I went in and I took a Bic razor and I just shaved the big old George Costanza cul-de-sac, and it made bald men so angry. We didn't have power for 17 days in Richmond, and people were furious when they would see me with this made at home cul-de-sac. So maybe you should shave the cul-de-sac too, Ben.
I'm not going to go that far.
No.
I'm taking it far enough for the evening.
This has been kind of a topic we've been asked to talk about on occasion, and we'll lead into this with John. John, what are some good tips for people that are thinking about taking their family out on an overland adventure? I mean, that's a very broad question, but I think through discussing this with the five of us here, we should come up with a pretty good list.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a broad question. I mean, it's loaded. I mean, how do you bring a
Very
family?
loaded.
Yeah, it's very loaded. So we have a family of 5. How do you go on an adventure with 5? Family of 5, like 3 kids.
In a minivan, John.
Yeah, minivan. But my number one advice for everybody who wants to do this is basically don't push it. So don't push the adventure. So basically, you have a plan in place. We as overlanders have this grandiose idea of we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to go wheeling, we're going to do this, but you have to rein it back and basically gauge it based on what the kids are feeling. So you can't push the adventure. So sometimes it might end up being just you want to do 100 miles on the trail and we do 20. So that's the whole thing with Ozzy. That's the whole thing with kids is you have to gauge it, and just basically scale it back.
I would probably say right in line with John, honestly, is if the younger people on the trip aren't happy, nobody's happy. So it really boils down to cater it to the needs of the people that are going to have the most needs. Be conscious of that and you'll have a good time. Otherwise, if you're trying to make it something that it's not going to be, you're going to have a lot of complaints and it's not going to be what you expected and wanted.
Don't try to change your kids because all of them are very different and unique in their own way. Try to break them away from technology, but you're probably going to need a little bit of that with you to kind of keep some sanity. And for us, we've got a kiddo with a lot of allergies, and so we have some limitations. So my in-laws were nice enough to get us a camper, like a 17-foot camper, and so this will be our first season with that. And that was made by the Amish, so it's all wood and really nice, has heat and cooling and all that stuff. So I think that'll be for us the safest way to kind of to dip our toes in doing this a little bit more, is because everyone will be able to have their own dedicated space, and you have all the luxuries of having a fridge and a stove and all that good stuff. But then I have, one of my kids, my middle child, is loves wheeling and would camp with me, any night of the week. And so I think when you have bigger families, because we've got 5 too, sometimes you gotta, when you're as a whole family, do it a different way than you would with 1 or 2 kids that are really into, adventuring.
Well, I'll tell you, one of my biggest things is I love project-based learning. I like kids learning things when they don't realize they're actually learning things. And, just being out in the woods and teaching them little things like leverage and things like breaking sticks in Gabby's trailer hitch receiver. And, don't tell Gabby. But, I think there are a lot of teaching opportunities that you can teach a kid while out in the woods and they're really focused. You have their full attention, and so if you can have a little teaching moment, where they don't realize they're learning, but it's something that they can, use for the rest of their life, I think that's great.
I agree with everything you guys are saying. I think it's really important to have tools or toys that the kids can play with. When they get to camp, fun things to do, whether that be roasting marshmallows or, a special project like gathering firewood. I see kids at all these events that are playing together. They're using the glow in the dark, necklaces and bracelets and stuff. And, going to some of these rallies and events with other kids is pretty fun to see how they're all interacting and how they just want to play together when they get there. So, creating a trip that one isn't too long, that's going to bore them because they're not going to want to sit in the car forever, but gives them an opportunity to actually do something when they get to camp. I think that's really important. And because that's what they're going to remember. They're not going to want to remember sitting in the truck for, 2.5 hours. They're going to want to remember how fun it was to be at that campsite. So think about that. Think about snacks, lots of snacks in the truck, for the drive, and, tools for adventure and stuff like that when they actually get there. So, music's pretty important to all of us. What's your top pick music for the road, John?
That's actually pretty simple. It's so anything from Chris Stapleton, I'm good.
I typically when I'm driving, that's just like my kind of focusing and thinking time. And a lot of times when I'm driving by myself, I don't listen to any music at all. Silence. Is that horrible?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking about what Jacob normally drives, and he probably doesn't need to have the music on because he wants to hear something before it breaks. Yeah. So I completely understand.
No, I want to hear the hum. I want to hear that hum. It's shit. The sausage wagon doesn't have a radio, and neither does the power wagon. So so I'm pretty vanilla.
This goes specifically out to you, and that's White Iverson by a guy with tattoos all over his face named Post Malone. And if you don't know, now you know. Look it up. It's a good song. It was the first one he came out with.
Obviously based on the mood, but I'm going classic rock. So and it's really hard for me to identify a specific song because I've got like 6 of them in my head right now. But I like some good hairband music.
Hell.
Yeah, I like some hairband music, like some good classic rock. Those are my choices for just zoning out, especially when it's a summer day and the windows are down. I connected with classic rocks and hairband and stuff like that when I was in Nebraska working with that crowd. But that's typically what you'll find my stations on, either on Pandora or whatnot. And Vagabonds actually, matches pretty good with who we are and where we go and kind of the lifestyle we'd like to live and how we travel as a team. Those guys are the closest thing to us if we could actually be a band, in my opinion. But we'll never be a band, so there's no question about that. But
suit yourself, man.
Ben, what about
yourself?
Suit yourself. Yep. Ben, what about you there, Mustache? What's your music for the road?
So to be honest with you, lately I've been on a Maiden kick. So I'm going to go down with Run to the Hills by Iron Maiden. That is, specifically that song is very, especially right now, that is one of my favorite driving songs of all time.
Speaking of, Ben, I thought you were going to head to the hills last weekend. Was that drunk talk?
That was both drunk talk and middle of figuring out what else is happening around here talk.
Yeah, Ben and I had some sort of late night conversation about living off the land and, harvesting hogs and all kinds of things. And so, but to answer,
you said come down to the farm and hang out, and I said I might do that.
Come on down.
And if it comes down to it, and I have a client right now that I'm working with to do some live stream stuff. I'm putting together a live stream system for them. So once that's sort of ironed out and I'm no longer attached to that project, I may be a little more free to take off and do as I please.
Yeah, don't be scared. But I will tell you, Memorial Day through Labor Day, I do prefer Yacht Rock Radio. So just be ready for that.
Yacht Rock.
Guys, with some logins.
Yeah.
What a fool believes.
If you like pina coladas.
I like to make love in the dunes of the Cape.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously there's a lot of good options out there, depending upon the climate we're living in, or the time of year, or what the adventure is. So there's some really good options out there. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. One more time, let's go around the group, introduce yourself, and let everybody know who you are and where they can find out more about you. And we'll take it from there. Jacob, go ahead.
Jacob Wright, Merry-Go-Round Farm, Allegheny Highlands of Virginia. I'm on Instagram, merry.go.round.farm. Check me out. I got a lot of random stuff going on.
www.benjamintylerknight.com. Yeah, that's my spiel.
You can hit me up on the gram at Ryan with an I, RIN _ Bedard, BEDARD, and then you can check out the hemp business at CoyoteRiverHempCo.com or at Coyote River Hemp Co. on the gram. And thanks for having me. Namaste.
Yep. So I'm Rocco Vehicles, ROKO Vehicles.com. You can find me there on the gram as well, and online, and also Ruther Photo, my photography work, and that's where you can find me on a different level. So those two sources.
And I am Jason Specht, your host from Mountain State Overland. You can visit us at mountainstateoverland.com. On Instagram at MS Overland. That is not Miss Overland. That's MS as in Mountain State Overland. And special thanks to our sponsors, OK Four Wheel Drive, Bill Stein, and Midland USA, and everybody else that's helped us put Adventure Talks on here today for you for Adventure Talk number 5. We will see you guys next time. Thanks for joining, guys.
Oh yeah, you got the best of me, and that's alright.